So I'm lucky enough to be both Pam Kelly and myself today. And because Pam couldn't be here, I'm also lucky enough to be able to give her bob hair so that she can kind of look like Bob Hannafin. Pam says she looks kind of like Tina Turner when she has Bob's hair. And I said, what's love got to do? Got to do with it? Anyway, this is take two. Bob, this is a letter written to you from Pam. It didn't take me long when you first arrived to Fairfield University to realize you have a great sense of humor. Please keep that sense of humor in mind as the rest of this is read by Brian. I knew right away you were going to be like a brother I never had, the much older brother I never had. You've always been a very understanding boss, always calm and collected, sometimes a little too calm and collected. I was thinking of asking Lynn to purchase something we could use to monitor your pulse and heart when you were in your office and to make sure you were operating at the alive rate. This can be a good thing. We never feared you, but it could also be a tricky thing to decipher your request. Your emails were never long and boring, but they did give our detective skills a workout, trying to figure out who it was meant for in the reply awe. The best email was when you replied to all in an email from marketing and they asked you if you had a change in the copy. Your reply was, lose the antlers. We must have all read it simultaneously in the office because all I heard was laughter, my own and everyone else's. The antlers then became a running joke for every gift after that, including the last one with the stag paper. I asked Dina, Lynn, and Linnea for some ideas on how they would summarize you in one word, and the first word that came to their minds. I couldn't use any of those words, so I asked them to try again. Some had trouble thinking of just one word, but they did come up with these, and I think we all have, you pretty much summed with these words. Approachable, laid back, dedicated, family man, generous, and likable. Since your first day, you have made it easy to like you. You've teased us, brought us Harborview Market cookies for our staff meetings, hosted holiday parties at your home, and made sure we remembered to celebrate achievements and special occasions. On birthdays, you always made us sing. We couldn't just cut the cake and eat it. We had to sing. You always had faith in all of us and let us know that you were sure we knew what we were doing and let us do our jobs without hovering over us or micromanaging. Your time with us as dean may be done, but I think I can safely say we all know your time as a friend will go on. One of the things that I always thought was so kind and sweet about you were the little poems you would write and include with your Christmas gifts. You took the time to personalize each of them to our personalities and maybe include something that we had done recently. I figured it would be fitting to end this little tribute to you if I tried my hand at it and wrote one for you.
What will we do without you, Bob? I guess your time is done. One thing that I can say for sure, at least you made it fun. We'll miss the witty banter and the market treats you'd buy. We'll all think of you fondly as that laid-back Irish guy. Your parties, they were epic, kind of like your hair. And even though you said you didn't, we all knew that you cared. We know you're coming back in a new capacity. Let's let the real truth be known. You always work for me.
So now it's my turn. Pam's right. You love to sing and dip into a glass of wine or two or three, or scratch that, maybe a bottle or two or three. My bad. And knowing that you're wonderfully Irish, I knew I'd have to write a song or something to share my own appreciation. At first, I channeled Dolly Parton, my dean, my dean, my dean, my dean. He's supposed to lead us, but he needs amphetamine. Look who's calling the kettle black. I'm more ADHD than you'll ever be. Squirrel, squirrel. Anyway, Dolly just didn't work for me, but then it hit me. George M. Cohen. And I couldn't help but saying H-A-N-N-A-F-I-N spells Hannafin. When you first came to the shores of Connecticut and you bought a house and settled in Black Rock, I knew that there were many bars nearby, so you were going to be okay. And I was jealous that you were going to be able to take advantage of the Connecticut coast, but we'd see you moving from here to there and up and down and around the Long Island Sound. And we were growing kind of apprehensive because we didn't know exactly what was happening with your arrival. And then we realized, oh, okay, we get it. It's just a Hannafin. Yeah, that was my bad joke. Took me a while and some ingenuity to make that happen on Keynote, but it did work. H-A-N-N-A-F-I-N spells Hannafin. And I've come to realize that I enjoy the way you have buoyed so many of us in ESTP, bobbing about the way that you do, always because you have our backs, all of us in GSAP, including me. I remember in 2018, by crazy luck, we had the opportunity to bring Ubuntu Matters at the Quick Center, the movie Hoops Africa. And we coordinated with many people across the district, including across the campus, including the men's basketball team and the Saugatuck Story Fest and CWP. And I can be quite an Egypt at times, as you learn, because I spelled your last name wrong. Forgive me, all the Hannafins before you. And so we had this event, and I thought everything was great, got everybody involved. It was a full capacity. We fed everybody, and the buses were arriving, and the kids were coming, and I realized, oh, I'm emceeing this thing. And then it became a nervous wreck that the whole thing wasn't going to happen. And I did what I do best. I started sweating, and I was backstage, and you saw that, and you went to the bar, and you bought me my favorite drink, bourbon, and you brought me a couple of them. And while everybody was watching the screening from in front of the theater, I was in the back sipping my bourbon, saying, I owe Bob big times, right? Anyway, HANNAFIN spells Hannafin. You have committed yourself, Bob, not only to Fairfield University and faculty like me, but also to the young people, educators, and administrators of Bridgeport Public Schools. I am also thinking of my colleagues, such as Paula Gil Lopez, who for some reason always thinks that Bob is a bucket of chicken. I personally think it's because she practices mindfulness and aromatherapy and meditates daily that she loves Bob so much. But actually, it's true. Paula's right. She said to all of us the other day, Bob has so much humility. He knows when he's wrong, and he's just an average person to a fault. He's always curious and wanting to know and to learn more. After she said this, Jay Rezgani just quickly, he popped in. He's like, you know, Bob has a consciousness for Fairfield University. He is the consciousness. And he's always reminds us that what we should stand up for, and that is what is right. And I have to agree. HANNAFIN spells Hannafin. His commitment as Dean of GSAP to Bridgeport Public Schools has been phenomenal, and he has been a remarkable champion for the Bridgeport Higher Education Alliance, of which I've been lucky to serve with him on the executive board. Of greatest note with this work has been his awards night. It's a vision for celebrating the best of kids, the best of teachers, the best of parents, and the best of principals. Each year, we'd fill Fairfield University's Oak Room with proud families and loved ones. Of course, Linnea and I were always like, what is this guy thinking? 4 awards for every school in the district. And I had to tell Linnea, Linnea, be thankful. This guy wanted to have 4 awards for every grade level at every school in the district. We would still be handing out certificates to this day if that's the way we went. Anyway, when I think about what it means to be good, G-O-O-D, when I think about what it means to be God, G-O-D, and I have always said that you add an O to God and you've got good, and that's what we should be believing in. And I think about the smiles and the joys and the pride that families demonstrated during these award nights, and I realize this is good. This is what the university should stand for, and Bob made this happen. HANNA. I did it again. FIN spells Hannafin. I'm just an English guy, you know. Ah! And I'm also thinking about in the last few years since, you know, Dr. Uhuru Williams came to speak to us, and I realized that Bob had a huge awakening, and he wanted to start really investing in equity, diversity, and inclusivity at Fairfield University. A first step was the diversity lecture series brought on by Dr. Pierre Aurelis and Stephanie Storms. They are amazing. And then his national work with the Education Colleges for Justice and Equity. And of course, Bob has maintained an open door with Bassick High School, keeping our campus available to them for Fridays so that they can learn with our faculty, they can learn from our faculty, they can interact with our students, and they can have a chance to receive excellence at the level that our own students do. That has been absolutely amazing. So ANNAFIN. So, when I think about you, I just think about your commitment to students. I think about the smiles. I think about the happiness. And I think about the joy that comes from your heart. It just radiates warmth every time that you would talk with the students. And sometimes they could find you within the mess of your office. And that was always delightful to see too. And I realized that through, all of our different departments in GSAP, we've all kind of competed to have you at the mic, to have you sing praises to our students, which you always wanted to do because that's what you were here for. And so this brings me to the last screen where we're proud of the Irish blood that's in him. Devil a man can say a word against him. HANNA. Oops. FIN. There's that A is missing. Why is it missing? Because Brian is who Brian is the name that a shame never has been connected with Hannafin. That's him. Yeah. Last note that I wanted to say is thanks to you, or thanks to COVID, we all have Bob Hannafin here, and it's just amazing. Bob, mwah, wishing you the best.